Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Andrew. This is the Extra Ammo channel, and today we're going to talk about the SIG P365 in a Flux Raider chassis. Let's get started. Okay, so what do I have here? Like I said, Sig Sauer P365 in the Flux Raider chassis. Now, as I have mentioned before, the fact that the 320 and the 365 are a fire control unit design, meaning that the trigger pack is actually the gun, means that what I can do is I can have a 365 already, slide here, and then what I can do is I can order this device from Flux Defense and just place the firearm into it. Now this is still a pistol, got a brace here. And the cool thing about this, which really intrigued me beyond the 320 versions of this product or the ones that exist for other guns, is that this is actually small enough to conceal. As you saw, you can pull it out of a holster, and really, I mean, in the terrible weather we're having up here in Maine, which, as I'm sure you can see, is a not awesome day. We've got rain, it's cold, it's terrible, but average attire here, I am wearing a actually heated hoodie. It's got a little battery. I am able to conceal this. Not super comfortable. Definitely don't want to do too much bending over. It is not like any of my other concealed carry guns, and I definitely wouldn't want to wear this every day. But I would say it's definitely practical to do if that's something you wanted to pursue. Now, SIG is going to be making a version of this that comes as a completed unit at some point. They announced it some time ago, and like I've mentioned before, who knows when they'll actually ship. This guy's got a light on it, I'll talk more about that, a red dot, and a very, very small suppressor. I'll go into that in more detail later. But the question is it worth it to go to something like this from a traditional concealed carry gun? And I think that the argument can be made that in certain instances, yes, and in certain instances, kind of definitely not. So let's shoot it, and, well, you can be the judge yourself. All right, now we get the meta glasses. Let's see what that's like. All right. Okay, so my group from earlier is here. Now, something I've noticed about this, I actually, because of the can and everything else, I don't run subsonic defensive ammo through this. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I have noticed that the FMJ I'm shooting, the subsonic stuff, just tends to shoot a little up and to the left, so not the end of the world there. That was my group that I shot initially, and then this is the group I just shot. So at like 20, 25 yards, around there, I'm not actually shooting this extremely well. And that kind of bugs me. It bugs me because I've got that other point of contact here, but it's a little harsh. It's a little harsh to shoot. It's not easy to get that cheek weld, and we'll talk more, but it's one of those things that sort of sounds good on paper, but then begins to break down in practice. Nice. Okay, so now we're back inside, and I want to talk about this in a little bit more detail. So, right up here on the front, I have a JK Armament 105 CCX. It's their concealed carry, fairly small suppressor. It's not the most performant can ever. However, it does fit into the holster that Flux makes for this, which allows you to concealed carry a pistol caliber carbine that is suppressed. Not super suppressed, not suppressed to the point where you don't need hearing protection, even with subs, but definitely tames it down, which is pretty cool. In here, I've got a true precision barrel. Plenty of companies make threaded barrels for the P365, and I don't actually have the longest slide on this one. This one's a little bit shorter. However, you can't get a Sig Sauer threaded barrel for the 365. There isn't an OEM one that I'm aware of, and there might be a reason for that. Reason probably is that when you introduce Suppressor to the 365 system, it starts being a little bit picky. Now, I had to get a spring kit for this, and it had various spring weights in it. Each of those spring weights is also breaking in independently, so I've had to do some annoying swapping around of things to get this to run appropriately. Had some pretty good luck today. I wasn't able to catch a malfunction on camera, but it does seem like different ammos are making the point of impact shift a little bit on this. At least way more so than I would think in a pistol caliber carbine. But we'll get a little bit more to that in a bit, because this kind of isn't that. Even though it has a brace, and yeah, it is the cool folding brace that can lock in here, and then actually this button here actuates it, which is very cool. However, the issue with this whole brace contraption is you either have to press this, or you can set it to auto-deploy when you draw it. And there have been more than a couple times where I have found this to be bound, like either bound to open, I gotta kind of jiggle it a little to get it closed, or it doesn't want to open, and I don't like the idea of it just deploying when I draw it. I feel like that's a good way to sort of slap yourself in the chin or something, and if I was in really tight quarters or in a tight situation vehicle, I might not want that deployed. So that concerns me a little bit. Now on this model 365 that I did put into this, now eventually SIG will sell a kit that comes with the Flux Raider lower and a 365 in it. Right now you have to buy the kit separately and then put your own FCU in it. Now, of course, the 365, just like the 320, is a fire control unit firearm, meaning that the gun itself is really the trigger and just the like little bits that hold it together. Then you can put it in different chassis if you want. So, bought this chassis from Flux Defense, put a trigger into it. This one has a manual safety. I thought if it was a pistol caliber carbine, I had to sling it or something, I would definitely want a manual safety because that trigger would be exposed. This trigger is one of the flat ones, which means that I think this must have come out of a 365X model. And yeah, it has the same exact trigger press and pull as a P365, so you either like it or you hate it. Whatever your opinion on the regular one is the same opinion on that trigger here. Up front is a TLR-8 with a light and green laser. I figured if I was, for whatever reason, using this one-handed, I might want that secondary aiming device, the laser. Now, I am not a big fan, guys, of lasers on guns, especially carry guns, home defense guns, because it gives away a lot of information, and a lot of people use them as a crutch, right? They say, oh, well, you know, if I can't get into a position where I can use my sights, I'll use the laser. I don't particularly like that. I think it is a kind of cheat code that when everything else breaks down, fundamentals break down for whatever reason, you try to use that laser. I don't think it's going to be as useful as you think it is. But again, a system like this as a backup, absolutely fine. Just be aware of the limitations and don't rely on it ever as a primary aiming method. Now, behind that, we've got the cool Flux Defense holder for a magazine. And I've got these Legion base pad 17-round standard capacity, Google, magazines. And these are the only magazines, or I should say, the smallest magazines that will fit in this frame. If I were to go to a 15-round, 365, 12-round, or 10 rounds, it would not fit in the grip, therefore would not work with this. Could go with the bigger 21-rounders. I'm sure somebody's making an even bigger magazine now. but then it doesn't fit as well in the holster, doesn't really conceal properly. So I picked these ones because I think two 17-round magazines should be more than enough. And it just kind of looks good aesthetically. I think it's the right proportions. So there's that. Now, this does have the same feature as the 320 with this tab here. Partial press, dropping this magazine, but complete depress will actually drop that magazine as well. And that's really cool if you want to do a super fast cool guy reload. Only problem is that even with training, I found that it was a little bit hard to reliably get the drop and get it in. A little bit harder than I would like to actually index properly on the front of this magazine when you're trying to reach up here. You end up kind of grabbing it like an AR mag. The only problem is you can't AR mag into the pistol grip of this. And that's probably a good segue into the why I haven't completely adopted this gun as a daily driver. It's not very comfortable to carry because it's huge. Now, if you're comparing this P365 to another P365, it's certainly more accurate. But if you're comparing this to a gun that's about the same size, like any competition gun ever, I actually think you can probably shoot them a little bit better, especially with training. And they work without having to get extremely low to line up this optic I've got here. Now, this is that enclosed emitter Romeo-X compact, and I do like it. It's a fine optic, but you really got to get down onto it. And this is not the softest shooting thing ever. It's a little bit harsh. I mean, it's 9mm, guys. No one's losing their mind over the recoil, but getting low enough to see through that, you start to really feel some of the blowback from the suppressor, and you definitely feel every shot. And so I wonder, would I carry this or maybe put it into a bag so I don't have to have it on my body? But then if I go to a bag, I can have a much bigger pistol caliber carbine, like a Kuna, like a Scorpion, like a SP5K. Any of those are then options because I've got a whole bag. And they actually inspire confidence. Do I shoot this better than P365? Absolutely. Do I know that I shoot it better than another concealable handgun? No. Those guns, the Kuna, the Scorpion, the real pistol caliber carbines, yeah, they're a whole different thing, right? I know I can get better groups, I can shoot faster, the capacity's there, the optics are there, the whole platform can do things that, well, this is not really able to do because it's still trying to be a concealed carry gun. And that's kind of a bummer because I thought this was gonna, check all the boxes. It's super cool. And again, for the size, the capabilities are really, really neat. But I feel like I'm only ever gonna use this as a range toy. It's fun to shoot, but with the springs up here, reliability was not to the point where I would need it to be to trust my life to it every day. It's cool being able to draw this from a concealed carry holster, but it's way more comfortable running a holster on a drop leg outside the waistband setup. And if I'm gonna have this in a bag, I can have something that really does change my capabilities with a weapon. So I think I would want something a little bit bigger, a little bit more capable if I'm going to a bag gun. So for me, the use case of this particular weapon, I don't see the huge value. Now, maybe there's something I'm missing here. If any of you have different opinions, you can let me know down in the comments. But I think that it's sort of like the wrong version of a Goldilocks gun. It fits in the middle and it does a bunch of stuff, but it does none of the things very well. And hey, that kind of leads back to some of my complaints about the 320 and other SIG designs, because I wanted to like this. I wanted to like it so much, but in use, it's fine. Anyways, if you have a different opinion, or you have the same opinion, or you like the videos, or you just want to say hi, give me a comment down below. It helps the algorithm, and I'm all about that. In the meantime, I've been Andrew. This is the Extra Ammo channel, and thank you so very much for coming to my lead talk. See you next time. Rain of fall Maine here. It's cold, it's terrible, it's rambling. I'm into it. We'll talk more about the ins and outs of this gun.